Recently, I have revealed my most iconic original character, Nightmare Mario, along with a couple others, and yeah, that happened. That number's not right. Since I had the courage to do that and had a lot of fun with it, I felt like doing some more. I'm pretty sure I told you that Nightmare Mario's official debut is supposed to be in this series I created titled Mario Legends. Since I revealed him first, I feel like it would be wrong to not reveal the rest of the main cast. This here is the main cast of original characters that I have held dearly since 2017, and you will see them all throughout the entirety of the Mario Legends series. That is, when I'm done working on it. It's in progress right now. Now, before I get started, I would like to add a few updates to this video format. That being a new background and remastered expressions. So let's go ahead and change it up a bit. Drum roll, please. There we go. That's much better. Yup, I've refreshed all of the expressions for my own character, and we have a much better background too. I personally like these colors much better than the previous ones. I'm going to do some for more characters too, like I said in some community posts, so that they can appear in videos more often. So, since I briefly brought up that this character here is a character in Mario Legends, I'm going to go ahead and show you all of the variants for my character. So this design didn't actually start like this, for I made a lot of changes in the past, as seen here. But this is what I've officially settled on, and don't worry, for I will do something else with the other ones later. Okay, so OC reveal number 2. Here we go. It should be plain obvious that Mario is in this series. Well, duh, it's his series after all. It also includes Luigi, Peach, Daisy, Rosaluna, and a few others, including the character I just showed you. So by the end of this video, I should have revealed to you 12 original characters, and they're all in the main cast. Unlike last time, there isn't necessarily a main focus like Nightmare Mario was, so I'd like to say that everyone here is the main focus. And yes, I will be talking about Nightmare Mario again. This time, though, they're not all gonna be giants like the characters I presented in the previous video. Instead, I'll be sharing more human characters, which makes them the fire giant's prey according to the plot. The reason why this video was scheduled for June is because it's also the 7th anniversary of Mario Legends. So let's go ahead and get going, shall we? Let's start off with one particular character who I think I've actually created back in 2016. I have no idea what I was thinking when I made up the background for this character, but like Nightmare Mario, this was during an unofficial production that I threw out the window a very long time ago. This character is supposed to join Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, and Rosaluna as a member of the Triforce. Zelda reference, which has doubled in my custom universe, for I added kindness, truth, and loyalty to the group. In case you're wondering why I picked these 3, I'll explain a bit of the context here. As you know, courage is supposed to mean bravery, wisdom is about intelligence and decision making, and power is like strength. Kindness is about doing good deeds in this context, as well as the willingness to do so, and only the most kind-hearted heroes would be chosen to save the world, thus making the element of kindness 100% necessary. Truth is the element that symbolizes the truth about everything in the world, and it is necessary because I know heroes to have determination despite realizing tragic truths that they must learn to accept. Loyalty symbolizes the willingness to do heroic quests not just because you're told to, but because you're dedicated to it, especially in situations where someone trustworthy guides you the whole way through. I gave each of these 6 roles to all 6 characters and matched them up with their main colors, which actually fits them all perfectly, and I didn't realize it until after I assigned their roles. And fun fact, I actually have a prop that works just like the Triforce does in the series. So here are the roles I gave each character and how fitting they really are. Mario takes power because not only does he wear red, but he is also known for going on great adventures, obtaining various powers, and fighting against tough bosses. Luigi takes courage because he not only wears green, but he has taken on a lot of challenges to overcome his fears, hence the Luigi's Mansion series. Rosaluna takes wisdom because she wears a blue dress and is known to be a perfect guide in the Super Mario Galaxy games, and she also knows a lot. or in other words, she's very wise. Peach takes kindness because not only does she wear a pink dress, but she is also perhaps the most passive of the group. And the best example I can come up with is the scenes in Smash Brawl where she stops fights in the funniest ways, either to offer tea to Sheik and Fox or to give Mr. Game & Watch her parasol. If you know, you know. Daisy takes truth because not only does she wear a yellow dress, but she's much more energetic, and yellow often symbolizes innocence that you really can't go wrong with. This should only mean that this original character's main color is orange, considering that her part of the Triforce is loyalty. The origin of creating this character had to do with Bowser, I believe, so her residence is near his kingdom. Also, that gave me the idea to make her hair red, and her style is somewhat similar to Bowser's. The first dress I gave her was something I kinda saw in a dream, but my siblings told me it reminded them of something else. And yes, I noticed it too. Also, it wasn't orange. That only meant that I had to do a quick redesign, and this is what I got. This was supposed to be just a regular girl with a very similar name to the modern character who was associated with Bowser in that scrapped production, but don't mistake her with that because she is not a villain in Mario Legends. She is more likely to be considered to be the 4th Mario princess. The original name wasn't very fitting for a princess like her, so I changed her name to Kenza in 2017. By the time I actually release Mario Legends, you'll see why loyalty is her part of the Triforce. All I can say right now is that the kingdom she's from may be close to Bowser's, but the residents don't agree with his ways. Therefore, Kenza is more loyal to what is good and just. This princess, unlike Peach, Daisy, and Rosaluna, fights with a sword and a bow that match her style. If you've seen the video where I talked about Nightmare Mario, which if you're here I'm sure you have, I also talked about Midnight Luigi, Twilight Peach, Sunset Daisy, and Rosaluna. Since Kenza joined Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, and Rosaluna as a part of the Triforce, she also got a giant doppelganger, whose name is Moonlight Kenza. I also did a variant sheet for her, which is no different from Kenza's because duh, Moonlight Kenza is her doppelganger. The main difference that is easy to point out is her weapon. She fights with a spear instead of a sword and bow. Although both characters are similar in nature, Moonlight Kenza was given the same treatment as Sunset Daisy and Rosaluna since she is not a princess. She was able to join the cast of Nightmare Mario's comrades, meaning that these 6 giants are also capable of possessing the Triforce. And their elements? Nah, I don't need to explain that to you. It should be dead obvious by now. And before you ask, no, Moonlight Kenza does not have a mod in New Super Mario Bros. Wii because not a single person in the world has heard of Kenza until now. Well, except maybe a few family members, but that's besides the point. Also, Kenza has a brother who is a character I have actually created several years prior to creating her. He was originally a great friend of Mario's, and so I made him look very similar to Mario and Luigi. This here is Nario, and he actually makes his official debut at the very beginning of the sequel to Mario Legends. The story of how Nario got separated from Kenza and how he became friends with Mario both had to do with tied events that led up to this sequel. Alright, let's talk about the rest of the main cast. My character in this series has 3 siblings and meets 6 friends at the very beginning of the series. Originally, these 9 homies appeared to be ordinary school kids, but meeting Mario made phenomenal changes in their lives as they joined the main cast as a group of heroes that I call the Nin 10. If you're wondering how I came up with this name, yes, it was inspired by Nintendo, and it has 10 members. Get it? Nintendo? Whatever, jokes aside. First, let's bring up my character's 3 siblings. She is the oldest out of 2 brothers and 1 sister. The older brother's name is Milenon, and the younger brother's name is Enaro. Both of them look kinda similar because they were both born barely a year apart from each other. The sister is Jociphena, and I guess you could say she's the small bean because she's the youngest of the 4. Let's talk about how I came up with the character designs. Milenon and Enaro have always had some sort of similar themes because they barely have any age difference. These were actually the original designs, but then I did a couple of redesigns that were way too casual for what the series is actually about, so I went back to this with a couple of changes as seen here. All I'm saying is you ain't gonna see a sword fighter battle wearing a hoodie in a Mario game, or literally anywhere else. I changed the hat style and the hair color since a lot of other side characters I created also have unique hair colors. A lot of games have done this, such as Pokemon, Fire Emblem, Kid Icarus, The Legend of Zelda, and even a few Mario games. As for Jociphena, I have always followed a theme like this, but her original design had to change to this for 2 reasons. Number 1, she looks like a princess and she isn't one. Number 2, she had cat ears and a tail even though she's more into horses but still likes cats. So this is the final design. Now, how about the last 6 homies of the Nin 10? I added these 6 to the cast without realizing that it's the perfect amount to also add them as subparts of the Triforce. They will also make their debut in the first chapter of Mario Legends, and they are all close friends because their beliefs and affiliations are unlike all other common people in their home district. That being said, here's everyone else. For kindness, we have Azalea. She has always had this idea for her design, and the only thing I really ever changed was the hairstyle and color. I felt like putting it in a side braid was more in character, and I also had it fade into a bright pink color. I also changed the way I put the flowers on the dress. They originally sprouted up from the bottom, but I thought that just putting flowers on the dress by themselves would look better. This was gonna be the final design until I trimmed the dress shorter so that she wouldn't trip on it while fighting. Azalea's primary weapon is a bow and arrows, which I have always stuck with since 2017. The arrows she uses are tipped with powers of either wind or poison. She is also the most passive in this group because she can actually be kinda shy. The only reason why she improved socially is because she became close friends with everyone else in the group. For courage, we have Cornen. The first design I did was just not good at all. The other designs were also too casual, so I made a few changes and ended up recoloring the last one from red to green to resemble courage. Cornen is the only character in the group to use 2 weapon types. His first weapon is a small dagger, and his second weapon is a green blaster. The blasters seen in the Mario Legends series are made from divine material like the weapon types in the Kid Icarus series, meaning that they are the only existing blasters that are natural. This was also a method of excluding modernized guns in a more creative way due to the time period and the environmental material. Another reason being because I don't like guns. Cornen is probably the chillest dude and the most outgoing, and his greatest interest is visual art. For loyalty, we have Anilamis. Her skirt used to bear all 6 colors of the Triforce, but I changed it to this because it did not match. The colors that stuck out the most were red and orange, so I changed the skirt to just be red and orange so that it'll match the top and boots. Also, her hair color faded into blue, not orange like loyalty, and I pulled her hair up to keep it out of her way because her primary weapon type is brawling gauntlets. The series actually has a bunch of tough girls, and Anilamis is definitely one of them. Not only is she a connoisseur in martial arts, but she is also a musician who plays a unique woodwind instrument that is similar to a modern clarinet. For wisdom, we have Cassiala. This has actually always been her design, but I recolored it from black to blue. I honestly don't know why it was black, gray, yellow, and red in the first place when blue looks so much better for her character. When I originally drew all of the female characters, I never really did anything with their hair, so I just kept it down, and I believe Cassiala is the only character in this group with her hair down, still with no headgear. When I say that, I mean she has never had any headgear. The first design actually had much shorter hair, but I didn't like it as much as I like the modern hairstyle and color shading. She's also pretty tough like Anilamis, but she's much more quick and agile. Her primary weapon is a smaller blaster, which has the same function as Cornen's, and later in the series she ends up with 2. For truth, we have Aaron, who is also Anilamis' twin brother. His design kinda went all around the place. At first it was all blue before turning into yet another design that was too casual for this series. And now we have this, which is the only design I did that actually includes yellow for his role. Aaron's primary weapon is a crossbow that is later equipped with shock arrows, and like his sister Anilamis, he is also a musician who plays a unique brass instrument that is similar to a modern trumpet. Out of both the twins, Aaron was born first, which makes him barely older than Anilamis. The twin trait also makes the two very similar in character despite their gender, Triforce roles, and battle skills. Last but not least, for power we have Nuta. This was also always her design with no recolors, but I did have to shorten the dress because it was too long for her athletic skills. There was also some extra stuff on the older designs that were just kinda unnecessary, including a Triforce symbol on the orange part of the dress. The only reason why I removed it was because the Triforce is introduced after Nuta is. I'm pretty sure I also gave her a headband at one point, but then I took it off just because. Nuta is the only other character besides Azalea to have her hair braided, except I just kept it in the back instead of sweeping it over her shoulder. She is definitely the most athletic of the bunch, as she is passionate about many different sports. Nuta's fighting skills are much similar to Anilamis's, except she also carries an enchanted ball that packs a serious punch and comes right back for her to catch it. And just in case you're wondering, no, I did not redraw any of the old designs from memory. I had to dig through my closet just to find all of the old reference pictures. No, I am not joking. I'm not gonna show you the original drawings because they were actually pretty bad. I mean, they're 7 years old, what more can I say? So I insisted on redrawing them using the modern art style. It also goes to show that I couldn't draw hair worth of crap until 2020. There is one last thing I wanted to add specifically for all 9 of these characters, as well as a vast majority of the side characters in the Mario Legends series. They were originally inspired by people I met in real life back when I went to private school, so I thought about naming all of the characters after them in 2017. In 2020, I decided that I should not do that due to personal reasons, so I ended up changing everyone's names, designs, personalities, and voices. Another reason why I changed their names and designs is because I didn't know half the side characters' last names or what they looked like because it's been way too long since I've seen them. So after I made those changes, they are all their own characters now, and I haven't thought of them as people I met in real life ever since that day. However, my own character's name is still Annalise, and it's the only one I didn't change because I can't come up with anything better. I also ended up changing the entire storyline of Mario Legends for countless reasons. The most notable reasons include the following. The chapters did not line up with each other at all. Some parts of the storyline were written out of order. The sequel started at an unnecessary time. There were way too many spelling and grammar errors. There was way too much childish humor. It included some very crappy illustrations. Most chapters had the exact same set of boss fights, or didn't even have boss fights. I don't think there was even a final boss. There was just nothing interesting in between, and I had to change the time period to a more medieval or Renaissance era because the original took place nowadays and I hated it. Since I had to change so much about Mario Legends to make it good enough to even post, here's what the plot looks like now, aside from Nightmare Mario's cameos. After the productions Annalise meets Mario and Luigi for the first time, she and her siblings were enrolled into an academy that enforced the most bullcrap rules, even though this was how the main cast met. This academy also had a temple for its faculty and students to follow a code of laws necessary for their religion, which is very false. And to be real, it's a made-up religion specifically for this series, but since this series takes a more cultural and mythological approach, ancient mythology is actually real in this universe. You know how other game franchises like The Legend of Zelda, Pokemon, Kid Icarus, Fire Emblem, and a few Mario games like Super Mario RPG, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, Super Paper Mario the Origami King, and Mario & Rabbids Rabbids Kingdom Battle have their own pantheons? Yeah, it's something like that, and I did whatever I could to prevent it from contradicting any actual religions. I don't know, I've always felt nervous about talking about this because as much as I love to write about mythology, I would get afraid that some people would get upset for not writing about any actual religions. It might just be my autism, but come on. It's a Mario production. There should be nothing wrong with liking mythology. My family knows this very well. Besides that, this group of heroes also gets caught up in a war with Bowser's army and has conflicts with Nightmare Mario and the Fiery Giants. One thing I did here that I never considered in the original was that I jotted down a list of minions in Bowser's army, thought about the situation in each chapter, and picked out enemies that would fit the environment the best. And this also goes for boss fights. For example, I would put piranha plants in forest areas, pokies in desert areas, cheeps in water areas, and boos in dark areas. I even came up with unique ways to defeat each enemy and boss so that not all battles are the same. For example, you can only defeat boos with projectile attacks, or you can launch smaller entities like Goombas and Koopa shells with melee attacks, or some enemies are only vulnerable in a certain spot, thus deeming all other attacks ineffective. Another thing I did that has always stayed is that, unlike literally any video game, Mario and Nightmare Mario have written dialogues. Since Mario Legends is pretty much my biggest production of all time, I have used several different resources to put it all together, such as writing out facts about the setting and religion, drawing a map, forming a calendar, and listing specific facts about the side characters that I would be more than happy to share in shorts and community posts. I did show a lot of these side characters to family members in the past, but this was before I changed them, and I used to get a lot of complaints that the majority of them were female. I did whatever I could to balance it out, but I honestly think that the majority doesn't matter, and I can just create as many characters as I want without having to keep track of how many of them are male or female. They may have considered it to be biased because I'm female, but biased nothing since most of my most favorite characters of all time are male. I mean, it's obviously no big deal now, and like Nightmare Mario, these characters were also forgotten by everyone over time, until now, though I have only actually shared the oldest designs, and so they were not so easily recognized. Next, I want to give an honorable mention because another change I made to the series is that the original took place where I live now, which would give away way too much unnecessary information that is no longer of importance. So I moved the entire setting to a fictional land on the other side of the world, a country known as Finlaya. It's located south of Greece and north of Africa and is an island in the Mediterranean Sea. This country also has a few individual islands around it, and some are mixed with Greece's islands too. The mainland itself has a pretty interesting lifestyle, especially since Mario Legends takes place in a medieval era. Anyone who's into fantasy, medieval, and Renaissance times would definitely be piqued by this country and its iconic cities like Thanos, Meridian, Michel Rose, Delafolis, Barracus, Ababyros, and so much more. Not only is Greek mythology heavily involved here, but it also contains some custom mythological features as well as crossovers with a few other recognizable game franchises like The Legend of Zelda, as I mentioned earlier. I also have my own Link and Zelda variants, which I have taken inspiration from Hyrule Warriors. Another thing I added to this series is an entirely new language that I created, and I did a separate document with not only the translations for words, but it also explains the pronunciations and how to build phrases and communicate with Finlandian folks. But the production's dialogues will be in English, and if I need to add other languages to the subtitle feature, I will. I'd like to write lyrics in Finland for some covers and original songs, and I'll even provide an English translation in the videos. But as of now, my microphone quality is kinda crap for singing, and if you heard my Destroyed Skyworld cover, you would know. I mean, it's not that bad, but I feel like I could just get something better if I want to do this. This parody takes a more cultural approach, since I haven't really seen any of that as the main focus in Mario games, so I thought about creating one myself, and it's pretty freaking incredible. Dang, are you that obsessed with Greek mythology or what? You again! You said Greek mythology. Show us the Greek mythology. Ugh. There. Happy? And more is coming later, aight? But the people are gonna want it now. Don't make me throw you out of the room. So now that you've been introduced to the plot of Mario Legends as well as the main map and most of the key characters, why don't I tell a little story about each of the members of the Nintendo and the characters I revealed in April? I mean, what would an OC reveal be without stories about the characters? This just goes to show that I didn't just throw in a bunch of main characters for the heck of it, for each of these characters has a very important role in different points of the series. Although I will say it contains a bit of spoilers. Alright, can I get a set order on the screen, please? Editor? Hello? Oh, where did I go? Can I get a set order on the screen? Okay, thank you. Took long enough. Gosh. First of all, there is something I want to address about the inclusion of Nightmare Mario in this series. That old scrap production was still going on when Mario Legends was established, but it died in 2018 for reasons I explained in the previous video. What happened was that I actually didn't consider including Nightmare Mario when I first started writing Mario Legends, but then I ended up liking him so much that I added him to the series while working on the second chapter. And let me clarify, since I forgot to do so last time, it's out of 25 chapters total. And let me tell you, I am so glad I considered adding Nightmare Mario as a character in Mario Legends at the last minute, because if I didn't, well, I don't know what more I could have done to make him as iconic as he is to me now. And when I say that, I'm gonna be completely honest when I say that Nightmare Mario is up there for my top 5 favorite characters of all time. That's also when I created Midnight Luigi, Twilight Peach, Sunset Daisy, Rosaluna, and Moonlight Kenza. Another thing I want to say about Nightmare Mario is something that doesn't just go for him. This is pretty much a general thing that I have never made public. Ever. Reasons as to why are unexplainable in my opinion, but that just might be a topic that my autism has told me not to talk about with anyone else for nervous reasons. It's pretty much a concept I added to my own stuff later on, and upon doing the remasters for Mario Legends, it appeared to be too repetitive, so I cut out most of it to make it more appealing. To be honest, I don't even know what other people think about it. I have always developed some interest in human anatomy, not just the study of it, but just the idea of characters getting eaten in stories. This lifelong interest inspired me to characterize the fire giants in a way that they are predators of humanity, but the most heroic people such as the Nintendo can survive and escape without severe problems. For some reason, I always thought that talking about this would be discomforting to people, especially when saying a few certain words, more so inner body parts such as these. I never actually knew what anyone thought since I never brought this up, but I'm pretty sure what will actually happen will be nothing like my expectations. If I ever want to discuss anatomy, I can just go off of what I actually know and go from there. As for the fire giants, the idea of preying on humanity was only because they lost all other resources, except a special kind of milk, when they were defeated in a war against the Koopas 500 years prior to Nightmare Mario's time. This was all discussed in the previous OC reveal. Unlike the giants of their society, Nightmare Mario and his 5 comrades were not as worried about using humanity as food, since they still had another food source that survived Bowser's attack. Because, I mean, how else would they stay hydrated without using water? That'll only put out their flames. The main reason Nightmare Mario wanted to eat Mario was to use his power to get revenge on Bowser. He gradually increased his abilities by putting Mario in his mouth 3 separate times, all 6 chapters apart from each other, before he escaped with the help of the Triforce of Power. Nightmare Mario's point of view actually takes place in a timeline that is slightly different from Mario Legends, hence his own series. In a sense, it's like saying that myths and legends have more than one outcome. That being said, there was a 4th time in that timeline in which Nightmare Mario succeeded in swallowing Mario right before the final battle against Bowser. Of course, in the end, Mario was able to escape when his giant was exhausted after his victory. Before I discuss more about the giants, let's talk about the hero stories, starting with Princess Kenza. In Chapter 3 of Mario Legends, the Nintendo officially met up when Mario and Luigi were invited to the Mushroom Kingdom as Princess Peach was hosting a meeting with 3 other princesses about intruders in their kingdoms who were a part of the school they were forced into. The 3 princesses she called upon were Princess Daisy of Sarasaland, Princess Rosaluna from outer space, and Princess Kenza from a kingdom close to Bowser's. At first, the Nintendo was shocked when Kenza said she was from close to Bowser's kingdom until she explained that her own kingdom was suffering under Bowser's dominion. Supposedly, this kingdom was established before Bowser rose to power, and despite the Koopa's reign of terror, the people of this isolated kingdom were always innocent. In fact, it was Kenza's own people who looked up to her for help and guidance during the tough times. Ever since that meeting, though, Kenza traveled back to Finlaya with the rest of the heroes and fought by their side, since Bowser's army made several attacks in several places around there, especially around the capital city of Moril. Then, come time for Kenza's trial of loyalty, her task really stressed her out as she had to face her opponent's beliefs head-on, which triggered a lot of childhood trauma due to how much she suffered under Bowser's rule. Even if her people looked up to her as their princess, nothing came easy for her, especially when she constantly pushed herself to fight for them on her own. However, despite her behavior during the trial, she still passed the given conditions. Since then, Kenza felt more confident about herself as a loyal hero and a trustworthy princess. Of course, since she held a position of the Triforce, a trial was also given to Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, and Rosalina, which I will explain as I talk about the heroes who accompanied them. Milenon actually took part in the Trial of Courage that was assigned to Luigi and Cornen. The 3 split up into a group as they searched for a mysterious force hidden at the Forceful School, in which the heroes were told to stay together. They ended up finding a magical sword that was stuck in the ground, and when Milenon pulled it from the ground, it was revealed to be the key to a chaotic realm that was sealed away since ancient times. Essentially, it was a realm that looked exactly like where they were just at, and every time it changed colors, a different effect would occur, such as a flood, but you can breathe underwater, temperature change, blindness, and intense wind. The only hope the heroes had to return home was to destroy the sword that sealed the cursed realm even farther away. Of course, the honors were done by Milenon, who was the one to break the realm's seal in the first place. I mean, aside from fighting, he's pretty chill. Enaro, however, despite wearing blue, was a part of the Trial of Loyalty along with Princess Kenza and Anilamis. Since the way he was raised wasn't as tough as Kenza, he didn't have much to worry about during that trial. In other trials, like the Trial of Truth, however, Enaro had different plans. Well, they weren't entirely his fault, unlike the original Mario Legends, so upon the remake, I had to make drastic changes to him and Jociphena that would have made them unpublishable without them. That being said, when the Nintendo left Finlaya for the Trial of Truth, Enaro had a tough time taking it seriously, despite not being a chosen participant. Nobody really understand why he wasn't as serious during trials that weren't his own, but I mean, you know what? Me neither. I honestly don't know what my 7th grade brain was thinking while writing the original version. The only thing Enaro ever worries about is having his freedom taken away by such a treacherous school. That did come to an end after a fierce battle against the leaders of the temple across from it. Jociphena took part in the Trial of Kindness alongside Princess Peach and Azalea, which took place on her 7th birthday. In fact, she didn't even receive an actual weapon or learn to fight until her 7th birthday, meaning that she wasn't even there during the first encounter with Nightmare Mario. Later on, she was given a healing ability so that she would be somewhat helpful before taking position on the offense. As a birthday gift, Jociphena received a small hand cannon I call a beamer and used it in battle when Bowser's troops invaded and threatened her party guests. In fact, the trial itself involved a conflict that was going on among the guests who were said to be close friends with Jociphena. 2 of the girls who visited didn't like the idea of battling and thought it was just for boys, and eventually Jociphena decided to take a stand to tell them that she can fight for herself despite being 7 years old and female, and yes, she is the youngest of the Nintendo. She told one of the girls, and I quote, "I am sick of being treated like I'm not good for anything." Jociphena was officially able to prove herself with the power she was given to save her friends' lives in battle. Like I just said, Azalea was chosen to accompany Princess Peach during the Trial of Kindness. The role she played was different from the role Jociphena played because neither she nor Peach knew any of the party guests. While Jociphena was busy dealing with the conflict among the girls, Peach and Azalea resorted to conversing with those who weren't involved, asking them about their time at the birthday party. It was Azalea's idea to have them chat about themselves, which inspired them to support the heroes in their battles. This was a bold approach for her since she was very shy at first. When she first met the production's Anilamis at the forceful school, she was sitting by herself at a table because she was nervous about making friends with the same beliefs as her. Like I said earlier, she improved her social skills during her time as a hero. At the end of Azalea's trial, she and Peach struggled as Twilight Peach showed up to take the Triforce of Kindness so that they would have to get it back later. Cornen accompanied Luigi and Milenon in the Trial of Courage, but played more of a role in battle rather than opening the gate to the sealed realm. Other times, he would try to push starting an art club at the forceful school, but he had always been rejected since he wasn't allowed to have freedom there. At one point, after the Nin 10 were given the opportunity to make changes to the school after trying to gain the people's trust for so long, Cornen put the idea of starting an art club on the school board since he was sure that there were more people who like art. Not too long later, everyone's ideas were completely thrown out the window because they declared war on the heroes for being defiant against their false beliefs. Therefore, Cornen insisted on not doing art at all until he was finally able to join an art club at a different school. Eventually, his blaster was also upgraded for a more artistic use, mainly because, well, paintballs. At the end of the Trial of Courage, Cornen, Milenon, and Luigi had to lead the heroes into a fight against Midnight Luigi, only for him to temporarily take the Triforce of Courage. Anilamis accompanied Princess Kenza and Enaro during the Trial of Loyalty, and it wasn't as stressful for her. It was more likely to be as simple as it was for Enaro, even though she was stuck in a classroom full of goons for a day. So, since the trial took place after the Nin 10 escaped the school, the trial was to remain calm, chill, and loyal for one school day. But everyone there was brainwashed for 9 hours so that they didn't recognize the heroes when they showed up that day. When Kenza was tormented to the point where she nearly had an outburst due to childhood trauma, it was Anilamis who calmed her down because she was right there when it happened. Even one of the professors told the girls that the students who were tormenting them were just bad morally. When that was all over, Moonlight Kenza showed up to take the Triforce of Loyalty for a while before having to give it back. Outside of battling, Anilamis does practice her martial arts skills on her own, as well as practicing for band with her brother Aaron. Cassiala met the production's Annalise in the school's gymnasium, and then accompanied Rosaluna in the Trial of Wisdom. This was actually when the Nin 10 used Rosaluna's Comet Observatory to travel to a distant galaxy for 2 Earth months. This chapter is actually full of Super Mario Galaxy references, especially since a little Luma fell from the sky and found Rosaluna at the beginning of the chapter. Cassiala was the first to notice what was going on, so she immediately went to talk to Rosaluna about it. They were both told that creatures in a distant galaxy had turned hostile and were asked to resolve the situation. The only real issue about the trial was how long the heroes were away from home, especially since Cassiala and Rosaluna were told to lead each battle, and it was up to them to figure out each enemy's weaknesses. Before the Nin 10 was able to get home, Rosaluna found them and temporarily took the Triforce of Wisdom. Aaron was actually in the school's library with Anilamis when he met the production's Annalise, and later he accompanied Princess Daisy during the Trial of Truth. This was when the heroes had to leave Leia to discover the truth about the past of an Egyptian region known as Ayohah. It started at a historical museum in Maril, which revealed a magical source that sent the Nin 10 to the past. The people in that region were mostly curious about Aaron and Daisy as they led the team for that trial, and as much as they were constantly persuaded to partake in their culture, they had to stay serious and figure out how to get home. They eventually figured out how to activate a portal to return to the present, but they were still in Egypt and had to get home. But before they could, they ran into Sunset Daisy and were forced to surrender the Triforce of Truth to her for a while. So, quick thing to say about Nuta. So in the original Mario Legends, she was not a part of the group until Chapter 4, even though she was supposed to be with them sooner. So, for the remaster, she ended up joining the heroes at the beginning with the rest of them. She actually met the production's Anilamis outside while playing sports. When she accompanied Mario during the Trial of Power, she was told to lead the Nintendo to the main temple in Maril. When she was told that Bowser would be there to square up, she warned everyone that he was already inside the temple, but nobody believed her as they stayed outside to defend the place. Nuta eventually went inside by herself but couldn't fight against him alone, so her sudden disappearance concerned Mario as he went in to accompany her. Following Bowser's defeat, the Nintendo had achieved all 6 trials and were ready to move forward in their later objectives. Nightmare Mario, however, had a completely different idea. While the Nintendo had their trials, the Giants also had trials of their own. Midnight Luigi's trial of courage was a very tricky one, especially since he was responsible for releasing the key to the sealed realm that Milenon opened up. There was also a hidden curse inside that forced Midnight Luigi to turn against his comrades, but it was his bravery that prevented him from being completely lost, as well as a duel between him and his brother Nightmare Mario. Upon Nightmare Mario's victory, Midnight Luigi felt guilty about what he caused, even though he passed the trial because of his courage. Other times, he is often concerned for his comrades, especially his brother, and so he dedicates himself to ensuring everyone's safety as well as his enemy's downfall. His skills are very similar to Nightmare Mario's, but he also carries a set of bombs in battle, and Nightmare Mario doesn't because the power he seeks could only be achieved by eating Mario and the production's Anilamis to merge powers and face Bowser. Twilight Peach's trial was also a tough one, despite being a trial of kindness. She and Nightmare Mario were instructed to go to a Finlayan island to put an end to a treacherous tradition that was established by other giants. In all other Finlayan regions, fire giants often hunted for humankind as predators since they have no other food sources, like I said in the previous OC reveal. On this island, however, a community of people made a vow to sacrifice a certain group of people every 2 months to ensure that the entire island wouldn't get wiped out. One day, Princess Twilight Peach put an end to that by defeating the giants who were always there and set the people free. Besides Nightmare Mario and the others, Twilight Peach is often mistreated by several giants and was nearly replaced by another giantess as princess due to her character and allegiance. She fought with a bit of magic at times before getting herself a royal sword. Sunset Daisy's trial of truth was almost the exact same as Daisy's, for she and Nightmare Mario had to travel to that exact same region in Egypt but in present time, which explains how the Giantess was there when the Nintendo returned to the present. After countless generations, a monument was built in honor of the ancients. Sunset Daisy was told to slowly tear it apart to find individual pieces of information explaining the truth about Egypt in the past. Not only did she find that, but she also discovered pieces of information explaining the truth about her home kingdom. Sunset Daisy, although she has her own natural fiery ability, also partook in a bit of magic practice before receiving a rose that emitted flames on command. Like Peach and Daisy, Twilight Peach and Sunset Daisy are really close friends, which gave them a support advantage during their adventures and battles. Rosaluna was instructed to go with Nightmare Mario to a kingdom of magic for her trial of wisdom. She was originally asked to uncover a rumor of problems when both giants noticed the disappearance of the kingdom's queen mid-conversation. Rosaluna and Nightmare Mario had to team up with 2 giantesses from their home kingdom who were enemies at first, since one of them was born in that magical kingdom, and her fear was that the whole place would collapse and unleash chaotic magic on the world if the queen didn't return. Fortunately, the giants solved the mystery and found the missing queen, and the 2 allied giantesses officially decided to join Nightmare Mario and his peers. Rosaluna is very interested in magic herself, but she never actually learned how to use it until she got herself a wand at a bazaar. During this trial, however, she obtained a more ancient wand that is shown in her picture on the wall. Around the same time Rosaluna got her first wand, Twilight Peach, Sunset Daisy, and Moonlight Kenza also got their own to use as a weapon in combat. Moonlight Kenza's trial of loyalty really depended on her awareness since Nightmare Mario accompanied her. Her task was to discover 2 ruined temples and find their ancient tablets to find out about what happened to them. During her search, she had to trust that Nightmare Mario would protect her from danger. It was at the second temple when she received her spear, which she originally used a magic wand like Twilight Peach, Sunset Daisy, and Rosaluna did. This was a treasure Moonlight Kenza had to defend while trusting Nightmare Mario to protect her from the ancient beings that guarded the treasure. That being said, unlike Kenza, Moonlight Kenza did not receive a sword and bow. Considering how she is a giantess doppelganger of a princess who hails from a kingdom near Bowser's, you would expect her to be more aggressive, but their aggression is actually very similar. I saved Nario for last because he is the only character in this group to debut in the sequel to Mario Legends. I'm only revealing him now because he's related to Kenza. His disappearance from home occurred a while before Kenza's departure to Finlaya with an intent. Some say that there were giants involved, though most of the situation occurred at the hands of the Koopas since they lived so locally. Several years later, when the Ninten visited the temple in Maril one day, he actually showed up as a guest without expecting that he would see his sister again. He ended up joining the heroes on the spot, and such a group progressively grew to a point where a lot of new changes were made, including a massive temple for all legendary heroes to live together. I don't think I should say too much about Mario Legends 2 until the first one comes out, but it's still in production as we speak. I also did a brief explanation on how I will put this production out. A simple but effortful way to do it all by myself, and this goes for any production. First off, I will use Adobe Fresco to draw every scene that will go along with a separate script with each scene labeled on it. And it also contains the dialogues for each labeled scene. For the dialogues, I will provide subtitles on the screen and create a background for it if just putting subtitles in certain places tends to be a problem. And to make the scenes more animated, I will also be using different editing features such as screen effects and zooming in and out. Now for the audio. First off, I plan on composing the entire OST on MuseScore, which will be posted separately after the production comes out. That way, I can also use it as background music for gaming videos or storytime videos like this one. For sound effects, I will most likely be grabbing clips from YouTube, including animal sounds, weather, environmental noise, etc. For the character voices, I would like to do voice acting for certain characters, including this one, but there's no possible way I will be able to voice the entire cast. I would like to see if I can figure out how to do AI voices. I don't know, I'll see how I can make that work later. So yeah, I basically do all of the work here by myself. Anyway, just like I did in the previous OC reveal, I'm going to take a moment to discuss the 5 hints that led up to this video, which are all in the forms of community posts. The first hint was that Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, and Rosaluna were involved yet again, but I also said that they are not doppelgangers this time, and I don't see any doppelgangers of them except the giants I revealed last time. The second hint showed a picture of some art I did back in April, which implied that there would be at least one giant doppelganger revealed today. Now, I was originally going to do a size comparison in the previous video until they frickin' removed the Gmod models I was going to use as a reference. The third hint was a picture of the Triforce replica I used, which implied that the Triforce would be discussed in this video, as well as the color combination I used on the art wall and in the thumbnail. For the fourth hint, I made a set of color palettes that stand out for each character, and here are the correct matches, which should make more sense now that you have seen these characters for the first time. For the final hint, I showed the logo I designed for Mario Legends, and straight up said that I'll be sharing the main cast in this video, as well as discussing a list of additional topics. Let's see, hold on. I did cover everything, right? Did I? Okay, cool. So yeah, that's it for the second OC reveal. And yes, there will be a third one in August, and it's gonna be a Kid Icarus version. Real quick, I would like to share this epic drawing. Oh, and this one too. Just like the last character reveal video I did, this one will also come with an original song that will drop this Friday. I would like to call it the main theme for Mario Legends, but it's actually the theme song for this production's Anilamis. As for the gaming footage video, we've got a goodie. I hope you guys are just as excited as I am for all of this. I mean, I'm not used to talking about my own stuff with other people, so I'd say this is huge for me. So, what do you guys think?